So there's a couple of things I want to talk to you about, and one of them, before we begin, I just want to make sure that you're fine with talking about it
Hmm.
before we begin. The fact that you have herpes, I'm just kidding.
Please take your seats. School is now in session.
Welcome to Homeschooled Podcast.
Homeschooled.
The Homeschool Podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
It's time to document the journey. Once again, welcome back to Homeschool Podcast. I'm Agostino Zoida, and this is my guest. It's Vinnie Falcone. He's here today. Couldn't figure out how to blur his background, so we said, fuck it. Yeah, man, we're gonna have an interesting podcast today, guys. Stick around. I think that this is gonna be a good subject. And before we begin, first off, let's give a thanks to everybody that came out to our Sacramento shows. That's the last time I worked with Vinny. We were up in Sacramento, and it was a Valentine's show. So if you're at those shows, thanks for coming out. We really appreciate it. Here's what I got coming up next. I got New York at the end of the month. I'm gonna be in like White Plains, New York area on March 24th, and then I'm in Brooklyn on March 25th. So I'm doing those with Syatt. You guys come out, and Brian Day is hosting. He's a great comic that I worked with in Boston. Actually, I mean, I started with him out here in LA, but he lives in New York now. And then after that, I got some other shit. Everything's on my website, homeschooledpod.com or augustinocomedian.com. You can go click on tour, and you can get tickets to and see all the upcoming shows that I have. Vinny, thanks for sitting around while I got through the intros there. Sorry about yesterday, dude. I mean, Zoom is a disaster of a product to begin with. Trying to zoom in with people, it's just, they're constantly doing updates, and you couldn't find the blur thing because it probably changed since the last update. I was having I constantly have an issue with not being able to hear my guest and then if I take the headphones out, I can hear them. And then you have to switch the speaker, and it's constantly an issue. But then I was messing around with it yesterday, and then finally we said, let's postpone until tomorrow, and I could figure this out. And I came upstairs, and I realized that my whole entire internet was out. And today I got a text message from Spectrum saying that hey, heads up, because of the weather, we're gonna have outages through.
I got the same text. I got the same text.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be bad when an internet service, which is already very bad, is warning you that it's going to be bad. It's definitely called the Spectrum for a reason, I think. But anyway, sorry about that, man. I always hate having to do that to a guest. I mean, hopefully you didn't cancel shows or anything to do my podcast. Okay,
No,
I wouldn't have either.
Yeah.
I would have been no, dude, I have a fucking show that night. I'm not doing your podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I just worked with you up in Sacramento. I just want to let you know that you did a fantastic job. We had many challenges. We had an issue with that one with malfunctioning, audio equipment, and dude, I didn't tell you that the next day, I had a bunch of people ask for refunds. So yeah, man,
really?
people in the back rows that couldn't hear shit, they all asked for refunds, which I knew that it was already a problem. We knew there in person, and that's why I gave them all free shirts. But even still, they as soon as they got home, they must have all went, let's refund, and they would comment. So I was talking to the venue, and all the complaints were about them not being able to hear in the back row. And I have a door deal with them. So, I mean, it's not like I get a flat rate regardless of how many people buy tickets. I have a door deal.
Yeah.
So my ending paycheck was $500 lighter. Yeah, man.
Jesus,
So that ended
damn.
up being a big problem. So I actually had a talk with the venue. I was I don't think that should come out of my check. It was on them.
Dude, I mean, can't agree with you more. And by the way, I just want to preface it by saying, everyone that worked there was amazing. They gave a free meal, a free drink. I forget the woman who was kind of the in charge. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Everyone was so sweet. However, just the way that it was set up, it was not conducive
Mm-hmm.
to a show. For I would say a third of the audience.
Yeah.
And just to like paint the picture for the audience, basically we were in a like 20 by 30 box. One of the walls was just a wall, and then the other three were glass garage doors. And basically the garage door was up, basically opening you up into the other
but
part
they
of the
sat
brewery,
people outside that technical area, and then their audio didn't work, which I've performed. This is my fourth year in a row working with them. It was other venues. They had a different location, and then they moved to this one. But I've always had, the staff is amazing. They're always a pleasure to deal with, especially the manager there. Like, that place is really cool. If you're listening to this podcast and you were there, support that place. They're awesome. The food's good, but it's just
it was amazing.
And normally the sound has always been fine. But I've done a show there that was outside. I don't know if you peeked at their outside. I did a summer show there that was outside that holds like 200, and their audio was fine. Like, everyone could hear. But their audio thing broke, and I don't. So again, bottom line, I was like, I don't think that should come out of my paycheck. And they were really cool. They were like, you know what? Like, we're gonna talk to the owner. We think you're right. Like, management was like kind of on my side, and they got the owner to write me a check for the money that was taken out of my check.
Yeah, because it really. I mean, honestly, not only was it should not come out of your paycheck, because it wasn't really your fault, but there would have been zero show
if I didn't have my backup speaker. I know.
Zero show.
Yeah. And actually my microphone and equipment downstairs in the garage that I normally use for this podcast is actually not working right now. So it could happen to anybody. Oh, really? So I have this is my backup mic and cord that I usually travel with, and I always have it in my backpack. I just didn't for that one for some reason, and but I did have that little backup speaker, little karaoke machine. But yeah, it just wasn't loud enough, which is really unfortunate for people. I mean, man, when I do shows, I feel so terrible for people that come to my shows, and it's not because they're not going to have a good time. It's just the pressure I feel that I want them to have a good time, and it's just I know how difficult it is to leave the house, and I don't have children. You don't have children, but you and I both work hard, and when we have our nights to ourselves, you know how difficult it is to leave the house. Like, you just don't want to. But you have, when you're in a relationship, you have to. You have to do these things, which is investing into your relationship, because you owe it to each other to have a night out. Now put kids in the mix. You got to get a babysitter, pay the babysitter. You have to go out, dinner. Now it's not just dinner. Now there's like an activity. And also there's extra pressure on Valentine's Day, I think, to do something. And I just feel bad. Totally. I felt terrible for those people. They absolutely deserved a refund. If you couldn't hear, your whole Valentine's Day was a bust. Yeah. So, but speaking of which, man, I just wanted to say, you've come a long way, dude. You're a fucking great comic. And I remember when you first moved to LA from Jersey. How long were you already doing stand-up before you came to LA?
So it's a weird thing. I was doing bringer shows in New York for probably a year, but I wasn't doing stand-up, if that makes sense. Like, I was doing shows, probably 2 shows a month, but I wasn't getting on stage and doing open mics and working on bits. I would say I was performer for the first year. And then I moved to LA. The first year I focused on writing and acting. And then by the time I met you at Tarzana at the Dark Horse, I had kind of just started doing stand-up again. So honestly, you could say a year, you could say 6 months, but still super green.
Yeah. When I first met you, I was running that room, the Dark Horse in Tarzana, and I remember you came by one day and were like, hey, what's it take to get on the stage here? And thinking back to then when I first met you, it makes sense because you did already have a stage presence. So I mean, yeah, you were super green, but I mean, you could just tell, dude, no offense to you. But even now, where you are, you look at guys year one, and you can look at them and go, "That guy's super green." You could just tell.
Totally,
But you have stage presence. You were always good. You were never not good. Always showed promise, but more than that, dedication. And I think that the dedication has paid off. You continue to, grind it out and do your thing and constantly be working on new material and doing whatever it takes. But both you and Pat, I commend you both. You moved your entire lives to Los Angeles to go for this, and you both are out there every night, mics, writing together. It's great to have a buddy to write with or just whatever, man, and you're doing it. And now you've done something that so you recently got engaged.
Yes.
Congratulations, dude. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you. And not to bypass this real quick, I just want to go back just so your fans know and your audience knows. Pat and I went to Sacramento to do the shows with Agostino. He killed. He is
thanks,
definitely
man.
a headliner.
You don't have to. We have to do a disclaimer to people that came out to the show.
No, seriously, man. Because it's serious. Because people, they headline, which means they go up last and they do more time, but it doesn't always mean they're a headliner. You're really a headliner, and you took great care of Pat and
thanks,
I.
Man.
We were very taken care of. Agostino's a great guy and always been supportive of us with comedy and kind of we always call him our comedy show.
Well, I wish that you would attach yourselves to a better horse than this one. You're riding the wrong coattails, buddy. No. Yeah. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. I wish I could take care of you even more. You know what I mean? And that's just the way that I was taken care of. I've experienced both. I've experienced like opening for guys that treat you like shit, and I've been very lucky to work with guys that just really treat the opener with respect and pay them well if they can. And if I could, I'd pay you guys, double that, and you know what I mean? And if I could, I'd give you fucking, 2 hotel rooms instead of having to share one. And yeah, you know what I mean? Like if you can, always take care of, when you get to be in that position, God willing, always take care of the people that are one day going to be, it's like how dads would be like, well, my father hit me, and then but I don't hit my kids. You know what I mean? So you want to send that, you want to start that trend. Otherwise, there's gonna be a bunch of dickhead fucking comics out there, And when I won't say who, but a guy asked me to open for him, and me and this guy both were really tight with Joey Diaz, right? And we both experienced opening for him. And this one guy, I won't say his name, asked me to open for him somewhere. And I said, yeah. And it was like, bro, I think it was further than Sacramento. It was Northern California, but it was maybe like an hour past Sacramento. No hotel. And $50 for the spot. No gas. Really? Nothing.
And no gas money?
Yeah.
Do I know him?
If I told you the name, you would know who he is. But so,
it sucks.
I wasn't snitching, because this is going to sound like I was snitching. I wasn't snitching. I went to Joey because I would often go to him for advice on a lot of things back then. And even now. But for things like that, I would ask him, do you think I should do this? I would always ask him, you think I should do this gig? You think I should do this one? The money's not great, but you think... And sometimes he'd say, yes, that seems like a good experience, or it's just good for you to get in at that club, let him see you. And then sometimes he would say, no, stay home. Save your money. That's not worth it. So I call him and I asked him about that one, and I go, yeah, the money's bad, and there's no hotel, blah, blah, blah. And I go, but, it's our friend. And maybe I should do it. And he was like, no, don't fucking do it. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, maybe if you never done that club. He's like, but you did that club already. I took you there. Were they going to see you again? And all of a sudden, you know what I mean? He's like, it's not really worth it. So, but not only that, but he calls this guy and tells this guy, let me ask you a question. I'm not kidding you, dude. He calls him just like this right in front of me. He goes, let me ask you a question. When I took you on the road, he goes, did I not take care of you? And the guy's like, yeah, of course you do. He was like, so, like, he's like, don't I pay you good? Don't I give you a hotel? And all that stuff. And he's like, yeah. And he was like, so then he didn't say who. He didn't tell the guy who was complaining, but he goes, So fucking do it to people you asked to open, and that was it, dude. Like it's always been like that, and you should always take care of your openers. But thank you, man. Thanks for saying something. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I just wanted to get that out there.
Thank you, man. Yeah, there's definitely a difference between like the headliner and a headliner. Which I appreciate you saying that, because that is something I learned. I remember when I started headlining, I was not ready. I had the material, I had the time, and but I wasn't a performer. It was it was the transition of giving the performance of a headliner. But let's go back to you getting married. When's the wedding?
Oh God! I mean, at the earliest, probably a year and a half.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. A lot to decide on that front.
So a couple of things. Let's talk about that, because it's a big thing for stand-up comedians. There's a lot of people say that a comedian shouldn't get married. I don't know if you've heard that at all. Anybody tell you that yet? Anybody bust your balls?
Yeah. Not too much.
I've had. Okay, so that's kind of like a rule, is they say you don't get married. Now, obviously, that's not necessarily true, because there's a lot of married comedians. But there's exceptions. Like some of them were married already and then started stand-up. Some of them been together forever and have kids and stuff like that, and they just, whatever. But it's kind of like an unsaid rule that if you're like a young comic starting out, like you don't want to get married. Now, you're talking to somebody who did it twice. And I had the ball busters, bro. Like, all the comedians would tell me, like, horrible mistake, you're not supposed to do that. And to some extent, they were right. Like, I mean, in particular, like, I got divorced. Obviously, it didn't work out. But that was more about, like, who we were and who she was, rather than the rule. But there was a lot of comics that are like, don't do it. They're just advising me against it. And I did it, and we got divorced, but that was because of the relationship. And then we got divorced. Then I got married again. Everybody told me not to do it. And not only that, when I was young, I took a comedy class. And I wouldn't say I took a comedy class as much as I worked at a comedy club where a class was taught, and I had to sit in on it all the time. So, in that comedy class, one of the chapters of one of the lessons was talking about marriage, and it was about how if you want to have a successful comedy career, don't get married. Simple as that. It was taught in the class, like as a chapter.
For the reasons of you work nights and you travel?
That's part of it. I mean, yes, but that's like really summing it up, in a narrow way to put it. But it's, yes, you work nights and you travel, but it's a lot of things. You work nights and you travel, and they don't understand it. And it's very difficult to understand. You know that, and you can't even be mad at them. And I'm not saying women, I'm saying people that aren't comedians. The significant other that a comedian is thinking of marrying, a man or a woman, it is completely normal of them to feel this way. What it takes is like, we'll do anything for it. Like if you had a big show, Vinny, I don't know, Burr asks you to go open for him on the road. Doesn't give you a contract for a year or nothing like that. But he goes like, you want to go to fucking Minneapolis or whatever with me, whatever big theater he's doing, and says, Vinny, you want to open the show? Of course you want to do that, right? Now your day job says, we're not going to let you have the time off. Which one are you going to pick?
Yeah, I did. Pat and I.
You're going to quit the day job, right?
I mean, I have to open for Burr. I mean, yeah.
It's very difficult for a spouse to understand that. They understand it, but they don't. And they will understand it. If you marry an understanding person, they will understand it. But at the same time, they won't. It's
also, prime example, we drove to Sacramento on Valentine's Day and didn't do anything with our girls. Me, you, or Pat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think I did ask you guys if you want to bring the chicks. I'll get you an Airbnb instead with 2 separate bedrooms. But you guys said the chicks were working or something. Okay, so I mean, yeah, dude. There is basically what I'm getting at here is I'm not telling you not to do this. I'm not telling you this is a bad idea because I did it twice. And this last time I've been married, this August will be 7 years. I've been married 7 years, and it works. Sure, we have our ups and downs, and it isn't perfect, but it just works. So I'm not telling you this to tell you like to put fear into you or nothing like that. I'm telling you that the stigma of the rule comedians shouldn't get married is bullshit. It's a lot of these comedians are too stupid to figure it out. You know what I mean? To balance both worlds. And it's not easy because that probably makes it sound easy. Oh, just balance both worlds. It's very difficult to do, but you can do it. And I
think it's like it's not only like the balancing of like the two worlds, which definitely is an aspect. It's also the fact that generally a certain personality type is a comedian, and I feel like those people generally can be a little like fly by the seat of your pants, impulsive, just like, I mean, I wouldn't say self-centered, but definitely like driven on a very narrow street that is usually like, you know, they're driving solo in the car kind of thing because like they have one goal in mind, which is to make it. And they generally don't let other things get in their way, which can come across in relationship as maybe like selfish.
There's just so many things that could happen, man. I mean, yeah, you're right. I'm sure there's some exceptions to the rule, but I think that you're right. I think that most comedians are going to be fly by the seat of their pants. They're going to be like, let's go. And let's go do this. If somebody calls you and says, like, tonight, you want to do a spot, you may have had date plans with your wife, and somebody says, like, can you do a spot tonight? Most of the time you're going to do it. Now, it depends on the spot. I wouldn't, personally, I've been married 6.5 years. I wouldn't cancel date plans with my wife for 10 minutes at a bar show. That's not going to do anything for my career, and it doesn't pay. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But if somebody says, you want to do a spot at the store, or you want to come do a spot for $25, I may be like, listen, hun, we're just going to go out tomorrow night instead. We're just going to switch it.
Well, prime example, a couple of years ago, me and Zoe were going to have date night, cook dinner together. You called me. You're like, hey, man, someone bailed on a gig. I'm doing one of the sober living facilities. Do you want to hop on? And I was like, yeah, sure. Joined. And then not only was it a great show, but met Steve Simone and build a rapport with him, and now like
that's the thing. There's always something that's gonna happen. Like, yeah, it could be like a stupid shitty bar show, but you don't know. Like, you don't know who you can meet. Like, things just happen when you get out and you meet people, or you do sets, or even if you bombed and people, you know what I mean? There was no industry in the audience, thank God. And you bombed. It's like you still learned something. You probably still got something out of it.
Yeah.
And like, all of these are good points, but it doesn't change the fact that a normal person, which we're not, a normal person is not going to see it that way, and they think that they understand, and they probably do. And your girl seems very understanding. You're a smart guy. I don't think you would have proposed if it wasn't. You got another thing working for you, is that you were a comedian before you met her, correct?
Yes.
My first marriage, I met her and then became a comedian. My second marriage, I was already a comedian for many years. And she knows going in that Valentine's Day, we work. New Year's Eve, we work. You know, that stand-up comes first a lot of the times. Like, they just know this going in. And even though they know it going in, it's just a normal reaction that they're going to get upset sometimes. They're just going to. It's just human behavior. You know, it doesn't matter that you go, big opportunity, Bill Burr, and they'll go, I understand that, but when you're looking at a bill, a past due bill in front of you, you understand, but you still don't understand it. And that's just the difference. You know, like, it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen where there's things like that. It's gonna happen where they're gonna go, "You doing a spot tonight?" "Yeah." "Does it pay?" And there's also gonna come a time, dude, where you are actually making decent money as a stand-up comedian, and they'll get used to that. Not saying like they get used to the riches, not because you're not going to be rich. I take that back. You are going to be, dude. You're going to be very, very successful. You're the next Sebastian Maniscalco. I think I missed that era. He hit it. Now I'm in an area where they don't want Italian white guys. By the time you are in my place, they're going to want them again.
Yeah.
They'll be back in style. So I shouldn't say that, but when you start working where you'll do a gig that you will make $1,500, or you will make $2,000 or $3,000 on a weekend, and that's something to feel proud of, and that's something that your wife is going to be proud of you for, and it's nice to pay your bills always, but it's nice to pay your bill with stand-up money. It just fucking feels good, and so you're gonna get to that point, and then. Because we're real comics. There's comics that get to that point, and then they'll just only do those. And then they'll just go do cruise ships, or when they're not on the road, they will not leave their house because they're tired from the road and want to spend time with the family and shit like that. So, but you and I are real comics till the fucking end. Like, we live for the stage. We live to constantly keep writing, constantly keep improving ourselves. So even when we're home, we're going to run out of time in Zoom soon. We got 10 minutes. So even when we're home, we want to do spots, mics, bar shows, free spots at somebody's room or club, whatever, right? Like, we always want to take every spot we can get. And now that she's had a taste that you go and you actually make money, I made $500 doing this gig. I made $200 doing this gig. I made $1,000, and then you go like, "Oh, you want to do something tonight? Oh, I have a spot tonight. You have a spot tonight? Yeah. Does it pay? No. Well, then why are you doing it? It's gonna happen, man. And it's just, well, you don't understand that I can't not do free shows now because I get paid. The reason I get paid to pay for all this is because I'm good. And the reason I'm good at my job is because I practice. And to practice is me getting on stage as much as possible and constantly working on my craft. And
only one way to do it is to do it.
And these...
You can't really practice stand-up.
You got to do it. You have to be out every night. And like you said, even if it didn't go well, or even if you get on stage, you got to go out and network, and you never know who you're going to meet, and things will lead to more shows and more gigs. And that's probably how you even got the paid ones. It's from just being out doing some stupid show and meeting somebody. That's how that snowballs. So I'm not saying they are wrong, because it's a completely normal human behavior of any spouse to have those questions and doubts and fears of rent and all this stuff, but it's just a different beast knowing how different we are as performers, and we have to do that. And I'm just telling you that those conversations are gonna happen, and keep calm. Talk to them like how you and I talking, like, let me explain it to you. And you can explain it till you're blue in the face. They're never going to fully understand. They'll get it, but as soon as they see a bill, it all comes flowing back, that feeling. And so, yeah, man, in conclusion, what I'm saying is that there's the rule that comedians shouldn't get married. I'm happy for you. I say fuck that rule, but it'll work with very key ingredients. Number one, it's got to be the right girl or guy.
Yeah. Not
meaning you. I mean people listening that are female comics or gay comics, whatever. It's got to be the right. It's got to be the one. It's got to be the one that understands this is your passion and what it means to you, and you're going to have to remind them throughout the relationship, but it understands what Valentine's Day really is. It's got to be the one. The second thing is that balance that we talked about. As soon as you understand that there is 2 full-time jobs, and for a long time you're probably going to have a day job, so really you got 3 full-time jobs. The day job, stand-up, and your relationship is another full-time job. You already know it. And you guys have a dog, right?
Oh, yeah.
These are all full-time jobs. And just balancing them all, you got 7 days to play with. And now if 5 of those days are occupied by a day job, then you got like 7 nights to play with. You got 7 nights to play with, and then 2 of those are full days. Saturdays, Sundays, and what have you. So you can make those work in your favor. This night is date night. This night is stand-up. I always, that room has a good Monday. That room has a good Tuesday. So I'm going to hit those. But then you get the monkey wrench of like unexpected shows that people offer you. Then you go, all right, babe, we're going to switch our Wednesday date night to Thursday this week because, I got a show. And it's just... So it's just good scheduling is the third thing, bro. Just being a good planner is everything.
Dude, I have a whole date thing in my phone with dates, all that kind of stuff. And I don't miss anything. I'm up to date because, between like work, like you said, work, stand up, date nights. It's say exactly what you said. It's 3 full-time
Absolutely.
jobs.
Absolutely. And none of this is meant to discourage you. I don't want you to think that. I wanted to talk to you about these things. Actually, since I found out that you were engaged, I've been wanting to talk to you, but I figured we'll do it on the podcast because maybe there's some comedians that are curious about that. Can it work? Yeah. And for those of you who were married first and then got into stand-up or are thinking about getting into stand-up, that's a difficult thing to do, but it's got to be the one, and you got to have a talk with them and be like, look, this is what's going to happen. It's going to alter our lives a little bit, but we can do it. We're just going to move this to here. Boom, boom, boom. It's all playing Tetris with your time and your activities in your life. And I'm happy for you, dude. I wish you and your future wife all success, bro. And I think that you'll have it because you're a smart dude and she's supportive. And so this is all to prepare you for what is going to happen, not to discourage you. And if in the future, if you ever want to talk about it, something we didn't go over, my door is always open. Yeah, not that you asked for it, but I know that you're smart, dude. You're not a dumb guy.
You're also one of the few comics that I'm friends with that. And maybe even the only one.
That's married?
That's married.
A lot of the older guys are, and the guys who are like headliners already or have made it, but that you like hang with regularly and do shows with regularly. Yeah, maybe, dude. That's a good point.
Yeah. Wow, holy shit.
Yeah, at least for now. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But dude, you like I said, you got to go ahead and head it on your shoulders. You didn't need me to tell you this, but I thought that it would be a good topic for some people that might need to hear it. Yeah. Now, next week we'll have Pat on and we'll talk about gay couples. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking with you, man. You got any shows coming up?
Dude, actually, so far nothing booked for March. I had a really busy February. Had like 7 or 8 shows, which was awesome. So far nothing for March. I'm gonna try to hit up some people and get on some shows.
Man, my March is pretty light also, which I kind of did on purpose, and I'm kind of glad that I have this little downtime because once the end of March comes and I start up again, it's a lot in a row. So I'm glad I have these couple of weeks of home, which I have a couple of spots. I had the haha on Saturday and I had to cancel it because I got sick. I'm like, it was just like a cold. I'm like 100% better already. And I'm doing Northridge on Saturday night. It's the 10 o'clock show because it's after the UFC fight.
Oh, Rubio?
No, it's called something like Patagons or something. I don't know. I forget. It's on. I've been posting on Instagram, or they've been posting it. I've shared a few. I'll post it. Oh, it's on my website, AugostinoComedian.com. Yeah. So the 10 o'clock after the UFC fight in Northridge this Saturday, and then the following Monday, I'm doing Hamburger Mary's, which is in West Hollywood. You're welcome to come with me. My friend Samantha runs that show for years, and she books me every couple of Mondays. It's every Monday. If you want, you're welcome to come, and I'll introduce you. She's really cool, really cool. It's like a bar show. Yeah, cool. Sometimes it's an audience, sometimes it turns into like a mic, but it's fun. Yeah. And that's Monday the 6th. But that's it. I'll see you guys hopefully at the end of the month in New York. Come see me and Syatt. Get tickets at my website, AugostinoComedian.com, and that's it, dude. Make sure you guys are following Vinny so you can follow his success of his career and his marriage. And when he's got the upcoming shows, I'm sure he'll post it. So make sure you're following him on Instagram, which is I
am Vinnie Falcone. There's I-A-M.
Vinny with an I.
Vinnie Falcone.
You got that. All right, we got like a couple seconds left before Zoom kicks us off. So thank you guys so much for listening. I'm Agostino Zoida. This is the Homeschooled podcast. Keep coming back here where we document the journey. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Homeschooled podcast. Homeschool.
The Homeschooled podcast. Why? Because he was homeschooled.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
I don't want to do that at all.